This program is made possible by the support of Delta Dental, Quick Trip, Marshfield Clinic Health System, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Hospital Association. Watch Wisconsin Eye on Spectrum Channels 995 and 363 and at wiseye.org.
That way so they can see it. Good morning, and thank you all so much for attending the Decriminalization press conference on this morning. I am State Representative Sheila Stubbs. I represent the 77th Assembly District right here in Madison that is comprised of the South, the West, the Village of Shorewood, and our proud UW-Madison campus. First, I want to thank our Lieutenant Governor Barnes for taking the time to be here with us on this morning. We are here today to proudly introduce legislation to decriminalize small amounts of marijuana in the state of Wisconsin. This bill will help mend the wounds of the criminal justice system that has been built historically, systems of oppression. It will modernize and make sense out of the current marijuana laws. This legislation is pretty straightforward and accomplishes three objectives. Objective number one, it would decriminalize the possession of marijuana for small amounts less than 28 grams. It prohibits law enforcement from establishing probable cause due to the odor of marijuana. And three, finally, it creates a process for expunging of dismissing convictions involving less than 28 grams of marijuana that occurred before the bill takes effect. So let's look at what I think will be the results of this bill. Decriminalization will, 1, increase equity, 2, increase opportunity for people to participate in the workforce and live and thrive to their fullest potential, and 3, increase the number of people who can clear their name and remove the burden of the criminal justice system. It will also decrease racial disparities. It will decrease inequities in our criminal justice system, and it will decrease the barriers of employment or higher education too many people in the state of Wisconsin are faced with because of the criminal justice charge. Wisconsin has among the worst racial disparities in the country, and Wisconsin is the worst state to raise a black family. Data from 2018 says in Dane County, 791 adult arrests for marijuana possession. These are approximate numbers, and 76 arrested for sales. In Milwaukee, 1,947 adults arrested for marijuana possession and 303 arrested for marijuana possession. These are numbers from DOJ, and these are approximate numbers. But as you know, in the state of Wisconsin, the predominant population is white, and there's a small population of people of color. The mass incarceration for African American men have been disproportionately charged and imprisoned for low-level marijuana possessions is something that we must urgently address. Far too many of our children are raised without both parents present due to the possession of small amounts of marijuana. And when one community is disproportionately impacted by these policies, it is beyond time to pursue absolutely real solutions. Simply put, we need actions. We do not need another study, and we definitely don't need another report. This is reality. With limited law enforcement resources, it just makes sense for us to focus on our efforts on serious crimes which will make our communities safer. Now, if you know me, and many of you have heard me speak lots of times, you know I see things through the lens of equity. I'm a champion for equity. That's what this legislation is truly going to be about. It is time to go to work. It is time for all of us to roll up our sleeves and get the job done in the state of Wisconsin. And my district, the proud, beautiful 77 district, sent me to this house to be bold, to be a fighter, and to be a reformer. And they've given me the name of the game changer, so the game must change. I know that there are detractions that will spread misinformation. We know that. You'll probably hear a lot about what this bill isn't, but I'm here telling you today with strong colleagues in the community about what this bill will do and must do. But we are going to move forward without fear. Fear that we know will have and have been impacted upon our communities that have called injustice for so many of us. But in the beautiful words of our former First Lady, Michelle Obama, she once says, "Don't ever make decisions based on fear. Make decisions based on hope and possibility. Make decisions based on what should happen and not what shouldn't happen." And now, I'm so honored to turn over this podium to the chair of the Wisconsin Black Legislative Caucus, Representative David Crowley.
Right. Act in the interests of people of the state of Wisconsin. Act in justice and in fairness. Only then will we make the state of Wisconsin a place where everybody has the opportunity to thrive. And with that, I will bring back up Representative Sheila Stubbs to close us out, and we'll take questions.
Yes, thank you all so much. We are at a point in this press conference to take questions for any of us that are here. In addition, Wanda Smith and Linda Hoskins are here, community leaders. Wanda Smith represents Peace Foundation, Peace Network. She's a founding member. Elder Hoskins is within the community. So please feel free to ask us questions. Any of us here will do our best to answer those questions.
Speaker Ross told me last week that he does not support decriminalization of marijuana. How do you plan to get Republican leadership on board?
Well, that's unfortunate. Again, this is another instance where the Speaker of the State Assembly is acting directly counter to the interests of the people of the state, whether there's Medicaid expansion, whether there's universal background checks for firearm purchases, or this simple decriminalization of marijuana. It's unfortunate that he continues to not just tell us no, but tell the people of this state no. How long will we go down this path of injustice? How long are we going to keep putting people in jail or in prison for marijuana possession? I'll tell you, the bill back in the 2013 legislative session came because they said a lot of DAs weren't criminalizing, or they decided not to prosecute many instances of possession under 25 grams. Or second or subsequent offenses. So they wanted to put the authority in local government and allow them to prosecute over 25 grams or second or subsequent offenses. So I introduced the amendment saying, well, let's just get the state completely out of anything dealing with 25 grams. Representative Stubbs' bill up it's 28 grams. But I said, well, let's just get the state completely out of it. Let's just leave it up to local authority, make it a municipal offense. Sure, if you want to criminalize somebody for it, I don't think that's right, but I'd rather somebody get a ticket than a jail sentence. So it's unfortunate that they continue to, like Representative Crowley said, is a very antiquated way of thinking. Look at the drinking laws in this state. We got like 3 of the top 10 drunkest cities in America here in the state of Wisconsin. There is more danger, more harm being done by people who are under the influence of alcohol than marijuana. I mean, you can that data is there. People are significantly less violent with marijuana.
And I think my comment would be, change is hard, but it's necessary. And that's why I'm so honored to stand with Lieutenant Governor Barnes and Evers, because the people spoke. We have a new executive body. We have 5 new constitutional officers. We have a body that's fighting. The people sent us here, and we are fighting for the people. They might not agree with us, but it's not going to change what I believe in. I'm here on my belief systems and my values, and I have colleagues that are standing with us, and we're going to keep fighting because the people have sent us here, and the people have said they believe in decriminalizing marijuana. So when are we going to respond on what the people say, the voters say? It's not about one person. It's about the people of the state of Wisconsin. So I'm not going to back or back down to what I believe in. I'm standing strong, I'm standing bold, and we're going to keep moving forward with this policy.
And if I could add something to that, I mean, Representative Voss, Speaker Voss is one of 63 Republican members. And just because he is against this bill doesn't mean as Democrats or as anybody who's a member of the legislature that we shouldn't put forth bills that can actually make true change in people's lives. And so we're putting this through because we think that the constituents that also lives in the other 62 Republican people who represent those folks here in the state legislature have a voice. And I think it's extremely important, not that we just talk to Representative Voss, but we talk to every representative on the Republican side to get their thoughts on this. We need to get everybody on the record. We can't continue to allow all the Republican Party to hide behind two of their leaders. And so we need to make sure that we're speaking directly to their members and their constituents, and that's why we believe putting this bill forth is a good way of doing it.
I would just add, Robin Voss is on record saying that he's not for people running around the state with little baggies of marijuana. They already are. And they're not asking him if they can. So his stance demonstrates a tone deafness that is only, it's only there because he feels safe in the gerrymander. So what you really, if the way to deal with the roadblocks in Republican leadership is by engaging in the civic process, I would suggest you call your representatives and encourage them to seek information on cannabis reform.
2 more questions.
One of the subsections I'm reading here says that law enforcement would not find the odor of marijuana as probable cause. That is often used as probable cause during OWI stops in Wisconsin. Is that true? They would not be able to use that as probable cause anymore?
That's correct. That is correct. That's what this bill says.
He gave an anecdote too about CBD flower usage, which could theoretically emit the same odor, and which is a legal substance in the state. So a person being pulled over could be subject to scrutiny, although they were abiding by the law.
Yeah, I can actually speak to that. So cannabis is cannabis, right? Whether it's hemp, industrial hemp, or marijuanas, as it would be. Once you put that cannabis seed in the ground, it's going to produce THC. We don't have any tests that are able to determine the level of THC in cannabis plant material. So you might have hemp flower there that emits an odor similar to marijuana in its fresh form. There's hemp cannabis now that actually emits the same odor as burnt marijuana. And it's impossible to tell. I actually just recently met with the Dane County Sheriff about 2 months ago, 3 maybe. And I asked him if he could discern the difference between illegal cannabis plant material and the cannabis plant material that I had in an approved retail container. He said that Sheriff Mahoney told me he could not in front of Chief Deputy Cook. I mean, the odor of cannabis isn't impetus to initiate a search already in other states, and it shouldn't be used to violate people's rights here as well.
What is the average sentence right now for somebody with under 28 grams?
Too much?
Do we know what the average sentence is?
So second possession is the criminal offenses where you would get the felony. First offense, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, even though you're gonna quote me on this. It's not first you don't get a felony for the first possession, but second and subsequent felony.
Why do you think, I've raised my hand, but I know you guys are pretty busy. Why do you think that Representative Stubbs, why do you think that the Republican body here in the state of Wisconsin are ignoring the data regarding the use of marijuana?
because they don't want to change. They don't want to have reform. They don't want to listen to the voices of the people of the state of Wisconsin. They don't even want to listen to our governor,
Well,
our
they
lieutenant
transferring
governors.
that because they made the laws in the state of Wisconsin. They condone the laws in the state of Wisconsin, and they need to help listen to the people to change the laws of decriminalizing marijuana.
Thank you.
What do you say to
Thank
people
you.
who say that this is a federal crime and that states should not have to be able to make this decision?
Federal crime?
In 1939, the state of Wisconsin instituted, Wisconsin Statute 161.275, that criminalized cannabis. That is what we are trying to undo. So it is a state issue, our state's issue.
But to add to that, I would say that the federal government should catch up to the will of the people, honestly, because, how is it, just people live across the street from Illinois. Next year, Illinois is going to be a state with fully legalized marijuana. And so the same thing with, gun laws as well. Like, when you travel out of state or, when you're going state to state, if the gun laws are different, you may be prosecuted in one place if you're caught with either that weapon, versus somewhere else. And that's the same way with marijuana. Like if you're on the Colorado border, you go over to Wyoming, it's going to be different if you're in possession. That's not fair. I think we should have more uniform laws when it comes to marijuana possession. Our drug laws should be much more universal than they are here in this nation.
Thank you.
If Speaker Voss says it's a federal issue, ask him what he thinks about states' rights. He is continually speaking of states' rights and how important states' rights are in contrast to federal rights. He should believe in the state decriminalizing marijuana because he always talks about states' rights being more important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This program is a production of Wisconsin Eye, an independent, nonpartisan, nonprofit media network with a mission to inform, educate, and engage the citizens of Wisconsin. Wisconsin Eye is the nation's first and only independently funded state civic broadcast network, providing gavel-to-gavel access to government proceedings and events at the state capitol. Wisconsin Eye would not exist without generous donors like you. Please visit wisci.org to make a donation today.